This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started. Hello, dear listeners, and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger of Pitts.
Fill me and Perich.
Hey, Philippe. So glad you could join us once again to talk all the many things that are got the internet abuzz. Let's see, where's my list of things that have the internet abuzz? There it is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, there's stuff. There's always just way more stuff than we can get to.
Like I said, we have our capes and lunatics on our little.
We have capes and lunatics, and I know I have to. So now I have to decide. Okay, what can we talk with Lilith?
Yeah,
like Rick and Morty.
Well, I was gonna say like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the WandaVision stuff. I mean, I'm sure Lilith is not gonna want to talk this.
Yeah, I mean. Okay, well, actually, this is one thing I want to talk, because I just now learned, and I'm getting all Mandela affected about this now. Do you recall them, like, I want to say, like, one of the, I think in the last reboot of Moon Knight, where there was all the, you know, where it's like, oh, you know, where they had the temples, that they expressly stated in that Khonshu wasn't a Egyptian deity. That no one's ever heard of this Egyptian deity, Khonshu, you say you worship.
I don't remember if it was in that last reboot, but I do remember, like, in those old West Coast Avengers issues, weren't they like, Khonshu, who's that? There's no such thing, you're nuts. Or
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
I mean,
it's weird, and now it exists. Khonshu has willed himself into our reality. Comics are real! Moon Knight is God!
Well, that's what I'm...
Be afraid!
Well, that's what I was going to say when you brought that up this morning. I was thinking, I was like, so is Egyptian mythology different in the Marvel Universe, or did Khonshu pull some cosmic stuff to keep his existence a secret?
Well, you know what I gotta figure is, because obviously Khonshu is probably a lesser-known god, because he's not in all the big myths. I just think he's not a fancy showboat like that Odin or Mephisto. Yeah, well, I mean, from what I can read about him, he's basically like Kronos.
Mm.
You know, one of the old gods, as it were. You know, like, you know, you have that, because you always have that, like, multiple tier of gods in most pantheons. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you go into the deep dive, they'll say, oh, yeah, you know, well, who gave birth to Odin? Well, Bor gave birth to Odin. Well, where did Bor come from? He, you know, sweated out of Ymir's left shoulder blade, you know.
I mean, again, it's gods too. It's like, you know, time means nothing to them. Oh, maybe Khonshu like leaves Earth for a couple thousand years. The legends like die and stuff. So
yeah, but it was the one where he was. It wasn't like the one where he started wearing the suit. It was the one where he's in the mental institution.
Okay, yeah.
And then he'd go outside, and like all of New York City was like pyramids and deserts.
Yeah. I mean, that one was weird too, because it was hard to tell what was real and what, you know.
Well, exactly, and that's sort of where I'm at with that. And it's like, you know, I've been saying that joke for months now, and no one's corrected me. And then all of a sudden, our good friend down south of the Meridian,
Ray,
the equator. Actually, I don't know if he is actually south of the equator. Maybe because there's a part. Isn't there a part of Australia that's actually north of the equator?
What? I thought that I thought it was all southern hemisphere. I thought.
Okay, I could be wrong. I don't know. I may be thinking of South America.
I thought like Australia and New Zealand were like some of the most southern.
If it's not New Jersey, I barely know where you are. It's like I know New Jersey, I know Michigan because I'm from there, and it's got a handy map available to you, and I know New Jersey because I live there, and I have to drive through Pennsylvania to visit Phil and to get back to Michigan, so I know that's there. And then there's also Ohio. Just because, you know, of the brutal feud between Michigan and Ohio. They know what they did.
I don't
know what they did.
But
yeah, outside of that, it's like, you know, who knows? But yeah, so but he's got a book on the Egyptian mythology, and there's a whole section on Khonshu, and apparently there's a lot of mythos on Khonshu now, so it's like, darn you, reality being fiction, fiction being reality.
Khonshu stayed quiet until he was ready to make his big move, like he did in Avengers 33. But and again too, I think the problem is like all these like different Moon Knight series are like written by different people, so it's like they pick and choose what they want to include and not include. And
although someone made a really interesting thought out there, and I think it. I don't think it was Ray, but it was one of our many other friends out there in podcast land said that they were hoping that this Avengers arc will cross over with the Century. Because we're going to get that battle of the sun versus the moon.
Yes.
And I can totally see that. And for what it's worth, there is, if anyone remembers those old Dark Avengers stories, there was a whole thing where the Void was essentially the angel of death that rained the plagues upon Egypt, which also arguably suggests that maybe where we say the Century is the good and the evil of Bob Reynolds. My favorite comic book name, by the way, Bob Reynolds. Because it's not Robert Reynolds.
It's no alliteration.
It's like it could be an alliterative name.
You could go either way.
But he screws that up too. So that's why I always love the fact that he's Bob Reynolds. But then you have this idea of the Hebrew angel of death raining death upon these poor innocent Egyptians. Which again goes into a whole other thing, because as we've said about Avengers 33, that Khonshu, he usually doesn't have that long beak. I have seen ones where he does have a falcon head and he has a small raptor's beak, but that long beak, I haven't seen that representation yet. So
yeah,
it is interesting.
They've been going with that. I think the long beak looked more in the modern stuff, in the last like 10, 15 years. Yeah,
we got a whole moon cult and stuff's going crazy, man. Unless
there's real Khonshu and imposter Khonshu out there.
Well, what it is Marvel has said, hey, we're going to do a Moon Knight thing. So let's make Moon Knight important. Let's make Moon Knight great again. And that is essentially what we're doing. Is we're really pushing that Moon Knight. Gonna make Moon Knight happen as if he was Fetch.
Well, of course, they're going to try to make him big, and there's going to be an ongoing series coming eventually once that, if not before, once that TV show hits.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I do think that TV show is going to hit. And I do think it's going to be a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of TV shows, Marvel is getting a Christmas present this year.
Oh.
Do you know what that Christmas present is, good Philip?
I know, because you mentioned it. Yeah, they get the rights to live-action Daredevil back, correct?
They get... Now, this is an interesting question to me on that idea of the live-action Daredevil coming back to Marvel, which is, okay, so it's going to be in 6 months. It's going to be just in time for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when I think Christmas, I always think Daredevil. Because he's got the red, and you can see the snow. It's like, he's in a red suit. The snow is falling.
Well, they've done at least one.
He judges the naughty.
They've done one or two Christmas issues, yeah.
Yeah, so I can totally see a Christmas Daredevil story coming out. But I wonder if they can make the film now, or have been making the film in secret, and then they will release it in December, or December is when they can start to actually touch the character.
Yeah, I wonder if can they make it. Yeah, so what you're saying is, can they make it now, and then they can't release it until they get the rights back? I see what you're saying. Yeah,
and were they planning on that all along? So that's always this very weird question with these rights issues and these things. We know that they do work with rights before they have them, because that was they were doing the whole trying to put Oscorp into the first Avengers film, but then the deal fell through, so they couldn't put Oscorp in. So there's a lot of things that are out there that are rolling. But I would love to see Daredevil in the Marvel Universe. Now, is Daredevil the first one that was what was weird to me? Was Daredevil the last one to air? Or, like, the first one to stop?
I wonder if... I mean, it was the first one to air. I think the third season aired after, like, the last Iron Fist, maybe even Luke Cage. But, yeah, Daredevil was the first series to hit Netflix.
So maybe they got Iron Fist back, just no one cared.
Or does it go by when they first aired, you know?
I know that there was supposed to be, not that any of us have ever read the contracts or know what the actual deal is, but there was supposed to be like a 2-year, waiting period before Marvel could do something with these characters after the end of their Netflix run. So after the cancellation of Netflix, and
so are you saying you think Daredevil's getting a movie, or do you think they're going to do like another TV series this time on Disney Plus?
Oh, well, I think Daredevil's going to be showing up and stuff. That's I am in the Charlie Cox camp that keep the Netflix universe canon.
Yes.
I think that was the intention for all of the infighting. That was always the intention. And for what it's worth, I think that's one of the things that I think we're going to be building into with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is this idea that now that we're all one big happy family now, everything that happened before is a part of the story, except maybe Inhumans, because no one liked that, because no one saw that. So that is a tree that fell in the woods and it didn't make a sound. Maybe it never fell at all.
It all counted.
I don't
kids.
recall an Inhumans series set in this universe.
I still like our theory. I think we had when that show was on. We were like, we're gonna get like a new Inhumans movie or series, and we'll be like, oh, those people were imposters.
Yeah, well, whatever it'll be, But, like I said, I don't think we had any crossovers in that. I don't think anyone from either the television universe or the MCU showed up in that.
Charlie, you know what the genius of Marvel to turn even that piece of crap into gold for them? If you want to do Secret Invasion, you say all those Inhumans from that series were Skrulls.
There you go. Well, Skrulls the whole time. Skrulls all the way down. It was just, but no, because I'm so bitter about it, because the producers of that Buck thinking that he was, gonna be the next, Taika Waititi or something. He was like, oh, I don't know if we want to have the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on our show. And then, but they were, maybe we can still shoot an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crossover. I'm like, you missed your window, dude. You gotta shoot that stuff before you start airing and everyone knows you suck,
Yeah, I mean, they should have like cameoed or something maybe on like an episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. first, and then they could have been like, hey, follow these characters into their own series, something.
Yeah. You know what? You want to know how bad that is? I have seen Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. I still have not finished Inhumans. That's how bad it is. You can't even enjoyably hate watching Humans. It is just bad.
I don't remember the ending, really. I'm just like, did something happen? Because it's just...
I guess Maximus gets like locked in a cave. Like there's a
maybe.
As I remember, I didn't see it, but from what I read, this would happen. Then it was, oh, good, that saved me 30 minutes. Or is like all the Inhumans move to Earth, and then they blow up they blow up their area on the moon, but leave Maximus behind. So he's I think certainly not going to come back to bite them in the butt.
Well, I think. I can't remember. I was going to say, didn't they run because Maximus was trying to take over? Or no, were they looking for more Inhumans on Earth? I don't know.
Who knows? Well, that was after that. That was after that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline. So you have like that tie to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline where the Terrigen chemicals were in the water supply.
I mean, you have your building crossover. Bring Daisy in. She's an Inhuman.
They were too good for that. That was the thing. Buck was like, no, as I understand it, no one likes the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Meanwhile, they're in season what now? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't tie into a bigger universe. Yeah, don't bring in the pretty girl. Yeah, none of that's good for business. No.
Yeah. Well, I think Buck thought he was going to be all MCU. And he was like, no, we're going to be the Inhumans in the MCU. And it's like, no, you ain't, little friend. No, you ain't. But moving right along, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really firing on all cylinders right now.
Oh, I think last season, I think they're just like, anything goes. Let's do it all.
Yeah, and I love that they're giving their own time travel rules that are different than the movie rules, but that it's for a very specific purpose. Because what the Hulk said is true, that no, you go to the past, you don't affect the future, because you went to the past, and that's your past, that's now your future. You can't affect your future in that. And what it is, yes, you do create these divergent timelines. Now what the plot line is no, you can go to the past, and you can't, and so long as you don't disrupt the timeline, you're okay. That the timeline will continue, and that's the whole idea about pulling a thread. Pulling one thread that will allow most of the world to continue just as it was, but there's going to be something slightly different when we get to the end of it. And it's going to be a world without S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's the brilliance of it. And within that concept, you have this idea of essentially these tidal ports of time, where you can only travel in at certain spots, at certain times, that you have a certain window where you can have actions. And this is something that was, it was set up in the comics where they were saying, yes, no, we can be part of the same timeline, but there is just a limited area that we can interact with. So I can go to the past and I can remember what I did in the past when I went to the past. So I can have that closed loop. So you can have a closed loop, and you can have, an alternate timeline that both can be right. It's just that, like Deke says at the start, it's like one or two sticks in the stream, it's not a problem, but you build a dam, now it's diverting the time flow, And of course, that of course is the argument with Steve Rogers going back in time. That he always was going to go back in time, and he knew that he could do it so long as he stayed on the path. Now, here's this. See, everyone says, "Oh, what was that like?" Here's the theoretical possibility. We see old Steve Rogers on the bench. What if there's another scene that we never saw, where old Steve Rogers comes to visits Steve Rogers to tell him what they did?
Oh.
Now then, it is still Steve Rogers, and because then I think even Steve Rogers said, "No, it's your choice. You can go back and you can come back, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life because I've already lived my life. But if you want what I've done, then this is what you do." And he would also make the other point, and if you want to go back and fix all the problems that we never did, you can do that too. But then you're going to be in an alternate timeline. And it creates this interesting paradox where there's one Steve Rogers who went back in time, lived a life with Peggy Carter, did nothing, with it, that basically had the view of, it's not that these tragedies have to happen, it's that they already have. And I'm going to do this. And there's another universe in which he goes back in time and he says, no, I'm going to go break Bucky out. That's job one. I'm going to do this and that and the other. And then there's, of course, my favorite timeline, which is where he goes back in time, gets himself out of the ice, and tells, okay, you two, kiss. And then gets Bucky, kisses him, because it's his best friend. You gotta give that praise. And then those two go off and have wacky adventures. So you have a double Captain America timeline. That would be fun. Lots of options.
I mean, if you do an alternate timeline, or old Steve Rogers came from an alternate timeline, that would explain where that holy complete shield that wasn't broken by Thanos comes from.
Well, I think there's even probably a scene where when he goes back to Vormir, where he gets to meet, oh yeah, no, I'm the Red Skull who's been sitting in the cosmic, suit for, freaking 40 years. Yeah. So you can hate me all you want. You can punch me in the face if it makes you feel better. Steve, that's not what I'm about right now. You know, and that's the interesting thing. Fun fact, I was going back looking at the time, and so, because they went back to 1931, although the Nazi Party had been founded by 1931, they had not seized control of Germany yet.
Mm.
So at this point, this is still under the Weimar government, which would, of course, explain why Erskine is working there to develop the super soldier serum. And also suggests that Hydra, of course, obviously predates the Nazis.
Yes.
Which is, of course, something we know in the comic books has been created as a truth. Because Hydra, of course, was founded by Sir Isaac Newton.
Well, I mean, unless I'm thinking of a different version, didn't the Red Skull kind of say that in First Avenger, that like Hydra was basically just using the Nazis to further their own goals?
Well, he was saying he was using the Nazis to further his goals, but it was strongly implied that the Nazis existed as the impetus for Hydra. Or if not strongly implied, at least suggested.
Yeah.
That, you know, oh, here are Nazis, and here's Hydra, and they work together, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, who made who, as the old AC/DC album says, you know? Yeah, so, but I love what they're doing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. I mean, we're 2 episodes in. It's already exciting. And I love the fact that they left Enoch in the past.
I don't know if I'd like that, though.
Well, it creates an interesting paradox where it is theoretically, except and that's the thing about Enoch, is he is a anthropologist model. So he certainly knows how to not cause trouble and to be just sit there and observe. Although he is pretty free and clear with, oh yeah, you know, you and your grandkids, they're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Exactly. And I'm like, he's an artificial being. Can he like kind of like turn himself off and preserve himself and then just like wait the years to reactivate or whatever?
Well, but why bother?
I guess,
he's probably going to be around. He's already been around for a few thousand years. You know?
Well, that's true. But it's just,
he's got a fresh charge, so it's like,
that's true. I mean, but again, just stay out of history's way. You know, he's sitting there telling Koenig, oh yeah, this is your grandkids, and you know, this is going to happen, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, he doesn't tell him what's going to happen. He just says, yeah, you know, I can tell you about that. Because it probably already exists.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, there's the possibility, if we go super deep dive, with the Brotherhood of the Shield. You know, that it's going to be like, oh, no, S.H.I.E.L.D. has always existed. You know?
Or
as they said when they first talked about S.H.I.E.L.D. in, I want to say the first episode of Agents, when he says, we're from the Strategic Homeland Espionage, Law Enforcement Division, and says, do you know what that means? He says, yeah, it sounds like someone really wanted your initials to spell S.H.I.E.L.D. You know? Because that's it. It's like, they really needed to spell S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
They really, it's like, oh, we're the Order of the Shield. Oh, how do we make it, like, be cool? Sort of like Stripe.
But I mean, yeah, I shouldn't, like, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't judge it too harshly, you know, because it sees a lot of, because, watch, the last episode, they'll get back to the present, and Enoch will be sitting there waiting for them.
Oh, no, he'll be back in next episode.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because he's there. And he's now hanging out with, Koenig. And maybe this is sort of like going to be kind of like this weird thing where he actually eventually meets himself because he gets assigned here. And that's how they get involved in the whole Lighthouse storyline. And it's like there's going to be a bunch of closed loops going on here, you know?
Or they're going to say, are we going to see the Koenig family tree?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. And then again, assuming that that there's not something else weird with the Koenigs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As I think me and Maz were talking about the Koenigs, like this, since they always reproduce, because Koenig's code name is Gemini.
Yes.
Suggesting that he's already twins. And then it's this idea, what if the Koenigs, you know, reproduce, like all the Koenigs come back as Koenigs, like the exact same guy, but they, like, reproduce exponentially. So
I heard this discussion. Yeah, so
yeah, well, of course you put these things up, but yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So what? In a couple thousand generations, the whole world will be Koenigs because you know if they have 2, and then each one of those has 2, and each one of those has 2.
Exactly. So yeah. So there's going to be lots of Koenigs going on.
And I love how the mothers don't matter; they all just look the same.
I'm sure the mother's influence as well. Assuming they have mothers. Although there is a Coning daughter.
Oh, yeah.
So that does put the lie to the theory.
Well, you need males and females, so, if you're going to have a race of Konings, you need males and females.
The Master Coning race! That's what we're moving towards. In the future, everyone will be Patton Oswalt.
Oh, jeez.
And then, we will rule the world, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's I love what they're doing with it. I love, I thought it was kind of interesting when Mac takes the gun from the one cop at the end, and it won't shoot for him, and he just hits the guy with the gun and throws the gun away, which I didn't quite get, because I think, well, at least take the gun or do something with it. For whatever reason, it's not firing with you. It's still, you don't want him to have it. So
was it? I thought maybe it was either out of bullets or it was jammed.
I thought it was just that you have to be a chronoton to use it,
or that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's I assume there's something else going on. I always assume there's something else going on.
I was going to say, was that one of their weapons, or did they just grab 1930s weaponry?
No, that was a energy weapon. So it absolutely was meant to be a blaster, which is why they were using it, because they really don't care about. Which is, I love that they've got oh yeah, here's the money for this time. Here's the different weapons that we can use in this time. Although by the end of it, they were handing out way different weapons. They still had the Tommy guns, but they were giving Although actually, I guess 38s were around by then, so but or not 38s, but they give him a Beretta. So the automatic pistol. Yeah, automatic pistol's been around since the late 1800s. So,
but no, we got the big connection to the MCU. I mean, we got early super soldier serum.
Yes, the one that they now theorize. This is the one that is going back to Germany to make Johann Schmidt. Mm-hmm. It was stolen and reformulated, and now is being sent back. It's an interesting question what they're dealing with here, and what will be interesting. I mentioned in the last episode I did with Maz about this Fantastic Four story where Nick Fury, Sue Storm, the She-Hulk, and Johnny Storm go back to 1938.
Yes.
And the idea, and at the end of it, it's all no, we can't kill Hitler, not because everyone has to die, but because they've already died. This whole thing, and then of course at the end, Nick Fury turns around and just shoots Hitler, which is just because that's exactly what Nick Fury would do. And as Bucky Barnes has told us, everyone should shoot Hitler at least once. Highly recommends the experience.
I mean, yeah, I know. Daisy wanted to kill what's his face, and it's just no,
Malik.
Yeah, they were trying to kill Malik. It's that serum's got to get to Germany, because if it doesn't, maybe Captain America eventually doesn't get created. And I mean, Cap's been there for. I mean, if his absence isn't felt during the Chitauri invasion, I mean, if nothing else, he ain't there to pick up that hammer in Endgame.
Well, but then again, it's one of these. It's one of these dominoes. It's if Cap doesn't get, first off, if Cap doesn't get created, Steve Rogers is still there.
Yeah.
And is what makes Steve Rogers great the fact that he is the super soldier, or is it the spirit of who Steve Rogers is? So if he's President Steve Rogers, leading a country of men of good good merit in a world without Hydra, maybe that becomes a better world, So
yeah, but again, then he doesn't go into the ice. He ages normally. And like I was saying, forget Hydra. What about when Loki and the Chitauri show up? Thanos? It's,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what they have Iron Man for.
Yeah, but what if it's something small where it's just one critical decision Cap... I mean, they could do this on What If. What if it's one critical decision Cap makes, and if he's not there to make it, Doctor Strange can't even put one finger up.
But to that end, the argument that the Chronotons have is nothing is going to change when they conquer the Earth. They're going to come back to this Earth. Everything's going to be what it was, but there is no S.H.I.E.L.D. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer a threat. That's the idea of pulling the thread, that if you remove Malik from the equation, which also suggests maybe you don't maybe you do allow, like maybe you save some lives, but other lives will be lost. It's like that trade-off, you know?
Yeah.
But what it does is it creates a less severe threat, meaning that the villains who rise are less problematic. You know, maybe we get Mr. Hyde. You know, maybe you get more of a supervillain-centric world that might be easier to vanquish. And
again, too, the Malik thing brings it, puts the point on it, too. It's like the Chronicons already know history, so, any troublemakers, they can go and kill when they're infants.
Well, yeah, but again, they don't... Well, first off, and the rules are, this because you have time travel rules in this. You can only go to certain times and certain places.
Mm.
So you can only go where the time fabric allows for these movements. So because you have these rules, because the physics of it are that there are rules about where you can come in and then you have to leave. Because if you don't leave at that point, arguably that's going to be the idea being, once you have been in that spot for a certain period, you start to become a log. You start to be something that's going to cause this disruption.
Mm-hmm. Which,
of course, then suggests that maybe Steve couldn't have stayed in the past that entire time. But then again, he wouldn't have had to. So, you know, that's I always like the idea that he actually lived a whole life, just not in this timeline. That he lived a whole life of being the super BA adventurer, forming the Avengers in the 50s, with him and Ant-Man and, you know, somebody else, you know, and Howard Stark, just building out this great new team with Peggy Carter and the whole 9 yards, living this whole life. And then, you know, at some point when Peggy Carter passes away of her own life, he says, okay, I'm going back to where I'm from. Then he goes back in time and then catches up with the future. You know?
I just wonder if, are we going to get, like, some surprises? Like, maybe, are they going to catch up with Loki at some point? Or,
well,
Steve
you know,
Rock
that's
or
the
Steve
thing.
Rogers.
There's, like, all this stuff out there. They're suggesting that the first scene of Loki was leaked online, but was in a foreign language and retranslated back to English. So I'm not into any of that idea, you know, because it's not the video. It's just, here's like the plot points, or here's what happens in the first episode of Loki.
Because I was looking on the app I keep track of my TV shows on, and like Stargirl, they have all the episodes for the season listed. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they don't have anything listed past next week's episode. So are they keeping stuff? Yeah, well, are they keeping stuff under close to the vest?
Yeah.
There's secrets coming.
They're going to be revealing stuff. Mm-hmm. There's going to be stuff that's and as an example, this is the thing. Ever since Nick Fury pulled Fitz and Simmons out of the water, and I was certain this was going to be Atlanteans, and then nope, it's Nick Fury shows up. And it's like, that was so much better than any idea I had, and I didn't even think of it. And that is what is great about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So when they decided that, you know what, when May comes back, you know, it's just data points to May. This is Robot May.
Yeah.
May's back, but, you know, she died. So all of that, so her Ka has moved on. She didn't go stick her Ka into somebody unrequested, like some Vulcans we know.
Hey, don't be giving away the Patreon, man. They gotta pay for that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes. I don't know. But yeah, so what is left of May is this is May's history and knowledge, but she has no emotional tie to it.
Yeah.
She's sort of like when Carol Danvers first came out of her coma. She had her, you know, but of course within that same idea is that now this May can live a whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And can build emotional attachments to things that are separate from what the previous May had.
I mean, you think about it, it's ironic. May's the most robotic acting one there, and Coulson's an LMD.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, that was always the case. You know, Coulson LMD.
Oh, yeah.
LMD.
I remember that was like the big theory. Yeah, the first season or so.
We've been pushing Coulson LMD for years. Now we have it, and it's better than ever. And I also like the idea where you said, "No, you're not Coulson," and he says, "Well," which
yes
is like,
and no.
He wants to say, "No, I am Coulson," but at that moment, you know, May cuts into the quick. Say, "No, you're not Coulson. Who do you think you are? You're not Coulson." Yeah. It was, it's really interesting what they're doing with that show right now. So I'm very pleased by it. I'm very excited by it. And you can't binge it, which is like the weirdest. It's like, man, I never binge anything, but now it's like, oh, this I would binge.
Oh yeah,
this I would totally be binging. I would be all through it by now. And I like the fact that it's keeping me engaged and keeping me waiting for that next episode. Let's see here. Justice League Dark. Khonshu. And okay, I think that's So okay, I'm just seeing what I listed. You know, and what we had to talk about. Because I know. Oh well, let's talk about Baby Quicksilver.
Yes.
So the actor who plays Quicksilver in X-Men is coming to the MCU.
Oh, is it that Quicksilver? I didn't see this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the one from Age of Ultron. Oh, it's the...
Well, both are in it.
Oh.
So we do get Brother Quicksilver in it. He's going to show up. Probably as, doing the wacky... oh, man, I bet you they do a Kip episode, like Family Ties, when Tom Hanks was Lisa's brother and he comes to visit, but he's an alcoholic, and it's a whole alcohol is bad thing. So I bet you there's going to be a whole storyline in there where it's like, oh man, I'm dealing with some stuff, and that's going to be his art, because it's going to be set in these sitcom-y structures, very fourth wall breaky. Because that is something that is selling right now, that fourth wall break. But yeah, but they are also bringing in the actor who played Quicksilver in the X-Men films, who is much younger, which, now I don't know if he's still much younger. He was much younger, but that was, a few years ago, so he may be older now.
Yeah.
But he's probably still a young man, relatively. He's probably still in his, late teens, early 20s. He's probably in his, mid-20s now.
Did they confirm he's going to be Quicksilver?
Well, no, they've confirmed that the actor is there.
Oh.
So who is that actor? Now, we do know Hulkling has been... That was that they said, oh, yeah, this is Hulkling. We're casting Hulkling in this. Gee, can't imagine why we're casting Hulkling. Now, so maybe he's going to be playing Wiccan, which would be ironic. Except he's also probably a little too old to play the child. That's the thing. It's like, if you took Quicksilver from the first X-Men film that he was Quicksilver, that's the perfect kid to play Speed. Now, is he going to be Speed? Or is he just going to be random SHIELD agent number 4? Oh! You know who he might be?
Who?
Mark my words. He will be Clay Quartermain.
Mark my words.
He's a blonde.
Now
he's in that 20s. They're probably going to send him to the gym for a week. We're going to get our introduction of Clay Quartermain. Because do you know why they want to introduce Clay Quartermain?
Why?
Because we're going to get a She-Hulk movie or a She-Hulk series.
Oh.
And we want a Shield character to tie into that. And we want to bring... So, if they follow my plan, which is that they're going to bring back the leader, he's going to be instrumental in getting Jennifer Walters, all shot up with Hulk blood.
Oh.
Because everyone says, they may not follow the I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would introduce She-Hulk and not have her be Bruce's cousin. Yes, it's silly that when they first introduced She-Hulk, it was like, oh, here is my cousin we have never mentioned prior to this moment. But she was my best friend cousin, Although, to be fair, that is very similar to the TV show that they did at the same time, where he goes home and he says, well, I guess it's time for me to visit my family for Thanksgiving. And we see that, Dr. Pulaski is his sister.
Yes.
And I've never mentioned that I had a sister or a father before, but that's because we had family issues, so,
Well, he was on the run, too, for that whole series, too.
Yeah, sort of, But they also do establish that he actually had a strained relationship with his family.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember exactly what it was. His mom was dying, and that's why he became a doctor. but he also felt like he blamed his father because his father wasn't doing something, didn't like go get the medicine or get the doctor when he was saying get the doctor. But then again, of course, that's a little kid saying, Dad, get the doctor, and it's like, I don't think your mom wants to hang out anymore,
What are you saying,
Charlie? She's been dying of this ravaging disease for so long.
What are you saying, Charlie? Bruce Banner has emotional issues?
Couple.
And hey,
yes.
it's
but this was before his father was a wife beater. So
I was gonna say, I mean, that part wasn't in there, but I mean, it was comic accurate that he had issues with his father.
Yes. And this one, his father was a farmer, which was nice. So.
Mm-hmm.
And his sister was an entomologist. She studied bugs. She could have been Ant-Man.
Oh.
Yes. Well, that is actually because the idea was, and I got to look at the timing on this, that if it actually does tie to about the time Marriage came out, because when you watch Marriage, you're watching it, it's like, oh, they're going to have his wife be She-Hulk. His wife is going to be She-Hulk. You watch this. They're going to make that wife She-Hulk. But if it's before She-Hulk, it was that Marvel went and made a She-Hulk before the TV show could make a She-Hulk, because they realized, oh, we need to lock down that copyright.
But that'd be awesome if somehow, whether it's a Banner connection or a Leader connection, She-Hulk gets created in the beginning of the season, and then by the end, like you were talking about Clay Quartermain and stuff. If we do have the Leader, we could do maybe that Middletown story by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's lots of things we can do with it.
There's your season 1 cliffhanger. That bomb goes off.
Oh, wow. Gamma bomb. Could we introduce gamma bombs into the MCU? Because, honestly, that is like the one thing that's always bugged me about the Hulk.
Yeah.
Is that they don't do the gamma bomb.
Exactly.
It's like, man. And I get why. I get why they can't do a gamma bomb. It was way controversial in the late 70s. It's still controversial, but the idea that, Banner's research led that, because it's like, oh, radiation resistance, well, how do we do radiation? Something about gamma is really interesting here. And
do you think it would work if, Banner wasn't the actual creator of the bomb, but someone, like a government or somebody just, stole Banner's research and they started creating gamma bombs because we have all these superhumans now and we need a defense against all these superhumans?
Well, the logical way that you would do this is you're going to take Banner's original gamma research, and you're going to say, how did this gamma create a Hulk? And then it's like, well, we can put in, and they could use one of the best lines ever written in a comic book, which is from Dark Claw #1, which is that everyone wants to make a living weapon, but they forget that the difference between a living thing and a weapon is a gun can't pick itself up off the table and start shooting people.
Yes.
So the idea that, we could create another Abomination because those work out so well. But what if we just, found a way to unlock that power? It's like, well, based on his research on how gamma interacts with things, we could actually create something that could have the power of a Hulk, but just be a bomb we could point. You could even have it be like kind of an Armor Wars kind of thing, where it's not stuff that, Banner did, but it's stuff that his science created. So you could circle it back to the gamma bomb real easy if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, you could end this on a cliffhanger for season 1 with the gamma bomb. And I still want them to do this with the Hulk, but if not, season 2 picks up, misfix it in Vegas.
Well, my classic theory is they call her the She-Hulk before she gets her powers.
Oh, really?
Because my idea is that if you're Jennifer Walters and your cousin just smashed Harlem.
Oh, yeah.
There are lawsuits that you're going to have to file because you want to sue the government for, first off, creating the Abomination, creating a situation where they knew her cousin was this dangerous person, and S.H.I.E.L.D. went and let it all out there. Now, of course, you have to remember, for those listening today, we used to have a functioning, semi-functioning judiciary in this country where people were held accountable to some extent for their criminal activities. At least that's what we like to tell ourselves at night. And we didn't have really obvious cases of the judiciary just, not doing that in our public mind as much as we probably should have if we were paying attention. But yeah, so I always thought the idea that, you know, Jennifer Walters sues S.H.I.E.L.D. and just basically forces them to, like, admit that, yes, they created the abomination, they caused all these problems, and that's why they had to pay to rebuild Harlem. So, you know, so basically she's seen as this, like, great hero of the community, you know, this great, you know, legal mind who's been fighting this good fight for years. And I always thought that they should take from Marriage, where she has an autoimmune disease, and the Hulk blood is the one thing that could cure her. Perhaps even, you know, opening up that idea, because I always thought it would be interesting to bring back the leader and that show that these are all these subtle manipulations of the leader the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
Because the leader's cool, bring him back, you know. So much that was, like, set up in that Ed Norton film that they never went back to. Although they reference them both in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because they do reference Blonsky after S.H.I.E.L.D. falls. They said, is Blonsky still secure? They said, yes, Blonsky's still secure. Blonsky's in the icebox. He's okay.
But if you want to use those characters on screen again, do they have to make another deal with Universal?
Well, I mean, they have She-Hulk. Arguably, they have a deal with Universal.
Yeah.
You know, arguably, these are their characters, and that they've worked out I'm assuming they have a deal. I'm assuming that. I
thought that's why they weren't doing any more solo Hulk movies, is because there was too much rigmarole or money involved.
No, it's just they don't make money.
Well, that too, but I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you make money, no one cares. It's like Spider-Man. When he makes money, suddenly everyone cares. When he doesn't make money, it's like,
I think it's a little column A, a little column B. They don't make a lot of money, so the split is even that much more. Hurts that much more.
But it's been a long time since they've used the leader, so arguably he probably may be back in public domain or whatever it is. I get the feeling they could use the leader at any time. I get the feeling they can use these characters because they are still Marvel characters. They just have to acknowledge Universal in the story, you know. And quite frankly, there's probably a lot of interest in, as we have our more and more media consolidation, for when you get these overlaps, for a company like NBC Universal to walk over to Disney and say, "Hey, friend, let's talk about what works good for both of us," you know? So there you have a motivated seller and a motivated buyer, because really, even though, because Universal can't just make Hulk films. Also, I think that's another thing, is that they can't make Hulk films without Marvel, and Marvel can't make Hulk films without Universal. But Marvel can use the Hulk in other properties.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I think if I'm going to guess, I'm going to say that because Marvel can use the Hulk in non-Hulk branded things, and because Marvel actually still owns She-Hulk, because She-Hulk predates the Universal rights transfer, or was created after, post-dates the Universal rights transfer. Because of that, I think Marvel has the rights to She-Hulk, so it becomes She-Hulk's vehicle. So if the Hulk cameos, if the leader cameos, these are within her universe, not within their universe. So sort of like Spider-Man showing up in the Avengers, you know. It's worked out, they can do it, and they can work these characters. So it's probably in that same thing that allows, you know, Banner to show up in every Avengers film.
Yes.
But we never actually do a Banner film, you know, unless you count Thor Ragnarok, you know. Anyway, that's that. It's interesting. I have no idea what the actual rules and rights are, but it's a lot of fun to speculate about it, isn't it, Phil?
Oh, yes, definitely.
You know, and if you like to speculate about things, which I know we all like to do, would you like to speculate about who killed someone? Who is a killer? And hunt them down? Would you like to do that, Phil?
Oh, yes.
Is that something that would be exciting for you?
Yes.
Well, you know, one of our sponsors is something called Hunt a Killer, where if you subscribe to it, they will send you clues and red herrings, not red herons, red herrings, and things that'll guide you, but not too easily, to find that killer, hunt them down, and bring them to justice, just like the superheroes of old. So that's something that is interesting to you. Why don't you go, is that in our show notes?
Yes.
Go to Hunt a Killer?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in our show notes. Go to Hunt a Killer. See what that's all about. Pay them some money. Get a fun game the whole family can enjoy, because why shouldn't your family learn how to hunt killers in this day and age? And while you're down in our show notes, where you're looking for things to spend your money on, I highly suggest you find the Amazon link in our show notes. Click on that. Go to Amazon, and there, among everything else you can find, you can also find Tweaked Audio headsets, which, of course, are the premier headset and sound equipment of the Southgate Media Group network. So certainly those are worth the purchase. And by clicking on the Amazon link in our show notes to get there, to get your Tweaked Audio, you actually help us all out. Costs you nothing, gives us something. So that's great. And while you're over there on Amazon, I know you like podcasts because you listen to this nonsense. So if you tolerated this, you may want to hear about what actual good podcasters do.
Oh.
And to do that, pick up Pad Life the book. It's in Kindle and in good old-fashioned paper, the way our ma's and pa's once read text. And you can find out about what we in the podcast industry call life as we know it. So that would be fun. And I think that's all of our sponsors. So, Phil, is there anything that you want to talk about this night?
No, just, yeah. I mean, if you guys want to even send us in topics you want to hear us discuss, just email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And hey, if you were watching this on YouTube, it's right there at the bottom of the screen.
Yes. Yes. So few comments, though. I was hoping they would yell at us because we did announce.
It's a Friday night. Maybe people are busy. I know around here stuff's finally opening up, so maybe everyone's out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my comic book shop opens on the 15th.
Ooh.
So one more week of picking up. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if I'm gonna go. I don't know if I want to go into the comic shop when it reopens. It's like,
They'll still probably be doing curbside, won't they?
Well, I don't know. I have to ask. It's an awkward question. Let me just say this. It's an awkward question. Can I still not go into your diseased shop?
I think they want to do enough business. If you were like, hey, can you meet me at the door with my stack of books and I'll hand you some money? They'll be like, okay.
Well, I just call them. I give them my card.
Oh, okay.
They're trustworthy.
Even easier.
They've had my card for a month now.
Yeah.
And I have to give it to them every time, so they're clearly not writing it down. So
I mean, even easier. I mean, I don't think they're in the position to turn away any business right now, unfortunately.
Oh, by the way, Phil, are you going to get the Three Jokers book? I just saw that. It's coming out in premiere format, $6.99 each. The Three Jokers, 3-issue limited series.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm at least going to pick up that first one. I have to see what took all these years to put out.
Yeah, I'm debating. I didn't even ask Tristan if he wanted it. I'm just getting it for myself. Is the 80th anniversary? Well, hopefully I'm getting it. The 80th anniversary Joker book.
Yes.
For $9.99 next week. So we'll see if that's any good.
Yeah, the Catwoman one was. I want to discuss that tomorrow in Capes and Lunatics. The Catwoman at 80th was out this week.
Okay, I didn't get that one. So that's for you and Lilith to discuss. All right, Philip. You've given all your social medias. You got anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Well, then, if you would like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, well, it's not the oldest fashioned. The oldest fashioned, Tristan, would be just writing it on paper, like Pod Life the book, written on paper.
The oldest way would be writing it on a cave wall, wouldn't it?
Well, you could write it on a cave wall. Oh, like we did in Justice League Dark. Oh, I didn't get to Justice League Dark.
I mean, if you want to talk that on Capes, I mean, again, we got another show tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. You know what? Look, Grundy's not in this issue. If they don't have Grundy be the unifying force of all of the parliaments, if they don't make Grundy Prime Minister of the parliaments,
you're about to lose Charlie Esser
of
DC.
life, then I'm kind of over it, because it's like, dude, vegetation, animal life, bacterial life, rot, life, death. It's like he's all of it, and it's like, and we're like, oh no, I can't think of anyone who could encompass all of the aspects of the parliaments of life in the DC universe. Gee, I don't know. Maybe you can do it, Dr. Fate. Maybe Swamp Thing again for no particular reason. You know. So yeah, if Grundy isn't a god by the end of this, I'm just done with DC because it's like it was just right there, low hanging fruit. But anyway, where was I? I was somewhere, I'm sure.
Doing your plugs.
I'm in New Jersey, and this is and Tristan's serving himself ice cream now. Yeah, have you had dessert yet, Tristan?
That's what he's doing.
You gotta double check. Sometimes they will get a second dessert as if they were some sort of hobbit or another. And yeah, well, we do have hairy feet do run in our family, so. Anyway, if you'd like to write to me in an old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and pops once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things, but not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it comes on at 10 and I am asleep by then. And I have not yet been able to stay up that late. I'm going to try, I promise. It's hard. At Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Maz. And thank you, Tristan. Tristan also did a little for quality out in the background. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in once again to Superconnectivity. Please come back next week, and why don't you just super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
Is the song thing? I can't hear it.
Yes. Yes, fine.
Okay. Good then.
20 seconds.
Awesome.
Guess the world's back. There's all this news.
Yeah, well, there's some news. Oh, yeah, DC also.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
They broke up. Tune in tomorrow to learn the rest.